Hello friends, get cozy. Welcome back to League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys. Time to take a look at week 7 in the LEC. Only 6 games left and you have pretty much 6 teams separated by 1 game. So it's going to be an absolute mess for this playoff push, with 2 of them not going to be able to make the cut. Every game matters now.
Hey, really does matter here. This is the big times. You want to make it LEC's first ever redone playoffs here. This is going to be exciting. Got to get your ticket in. But hey, before that, got to take care of your homework. Get these wins here in week 7.
All you want is top 2. Nothing else really matters unless, qualifying for playoffs. That obviously matters. But day 1 matchups, obviously with so many teams vying for that playoff spot, you have a lot of heavily implicated playoff games, starting with Origin versus Splice, a 6-6 versus 7-5, and this one is pretty much a toss-up according to the odds, and I think that's fair.
I think this one's going to be exciting to watch. I'm looking to see if maybe Splice, and I'm just hoping, maybe that bot lane for Splice gets it going there, puts a little bit of pain to Mithy and Patrick in that matchup.
And Mithy and Patrick have actually looked pretty good in a lot of their matchups, even when they were getting forget the Fnatic one where they got completely dumpstered. But other than those, they've been a pretty solid bottom lane. A couple of heavy favorites in SK, and obviously G2 versus Rogue is about as big a mismatch as you can get. Middle of the schedule, Misfits versus Vitality. Vitality slight favorites there. I would argue they should even be bigger favorites.
I think they should be bigger favorites here, but I am not going to be entirely surprised if this Misfits lineup with Moose, with the Beast behind the bench here, making those type of calls. I think right now that type of infusion into this roster of that old energy has really helped them, again. Hey, they're still playing around bottom side, still playing around Han Sama as the main guy, but Moose got them doing that right away from the get-go, and they got him doing it really well. And I think that right now, that's your hope against Vitality, to try and get Han Sama going. But that's a tough ask because Attila's going to be hungry and ready to go up against that.
Moose coming in might just scare the players. You make a coaching change, and then after that, next move is you guys. You're getting benched if it doesn't work. We changed the coaching staff, so good intimidation tactic by Misfits. Things close out day 1. Fnatic versus Schalke. That's your match of the day, and definitely so. Fnatic can lose this and still make playoffs, but it'll go leaps and bounds if they win to getting them towards that push. Remember the last time these guys played was when Reckless died about 8 times on Sivir. No. I don't expect this to happen again.
Well, I hope not, because given right now we have seen what we've seen from Reckless in the past 2 weeks here is a return to the form that we know of Reckless, that everyone loves to watch and see this real, true-born EU superstar here shine for Fnatic. And this is what we saw the last 2 weeks here. You did not see any of that in the matchup against Schalke previously. So looking to see that again from Fnatic. And as you said, I'm one of these guys. I'm on the hype train. I am believing in Fnatic, making the push here for playoffs, getting right back in there. And I think that it has already started. And I think it continues with a game against Schalke as Schalke continues to struggle.
Yeah, and this game that they played the first time is kind of when you first really saw the potential for Nemesis. He was their only chance in this game, even though they ended up getting completely destroyed. He actually had a solid performance on that Cassiopeia. But you're right, if Fnatic wins 3 in a row with wins against Vitality, Origin, and then Schalke, then I think the other teams will start feeling the pressure a little bit.
Right, you got to see that though first, because hey, Vitality has shown us a lot of good at times. And recently, though, you haven't seen it exactly as clean as you would like from this team. It has seemed a little bit more of, chicken with their head cut off type of situation than it usually...
Chaos style.
Than it usually does for Yamato Cannon and the boys with Vitality. Want to see it cleaned up a little bit.
Yeah, they just adapted the Chaos style that the Unicorns of Love brought on to Summoner's Rift. The Day 2 matchups... Again, it closes with a real banger, but G2 versus SK kicks things off. SK kind of had a good early game last time they played G2, but obviously they're going to be huge favorites, and deservedly so. Schalke versus Splice, that is the definition of a toss-up according to the odds makers, and depends if Schalke plays like they did during weeks 2-4 or the last couple of weeks, because if they play like they did early, they should win easily.
With the race to playoffs closing in here, this is one of those ones where you hesitate and you're like, you know what, you can't call this one a must-win quite yet for these squads, but it's about as close as it gets, given that this is going to be on day 2, and knowing that Splice and Schalke, knowing who you're going up against, hey, you're facing off against some teams where you probably are not expecting to come away with a win, maybe Splice more in a toss-up, but this is the situation where, hey, if you lose on day 1, you have to be coming out on the proper end of this matchup to keep your playoff hopes alive, you'd think.
Yeah, and if Schalke end up going 0-2 this week, I don't expect them to do that, but then it's going to be a real head-scratcher for them on how to even fix things. Fnatic versus Rogue, I'm going to call that a must-win. If Fnatic drops that game, then they're in some serious trouble for playoffs, because you're almost already marking that as a win in their playoff hunt. Similar to Misfits against Excel, it's basically the bottom 2 in EU. Those are must-win games for them. Things close off Vitality versus Origin. That's probably the most exciting matchup for this entire weekend, even more than Fnatic versus Schalke, because, you know, it's going to be an explosive one anytime Vitality is playing, and this is going to be a real test for OG.
I think this is going to be a fantastic matchup here, and what I am so excited to watch here, what I think is going to be the real key one here, I want to watch how Mowgli and Cold, how that jungle matchup goes up in here, because I think right now, not exactly based off of what they're individually going to be doing, I want to talk about here the impact that they're going to have on their mid laners and the top laners, the solo laners here. I think that is going to be the huge deciding factor in Vitality Origin, and I think right now I'm going to put my money on Cold, getting it back, getting that mojo going again for Origin, helping Nuke Duck out to a good lead.
And if we're expecting any crazy off-meta picks, it's going to come from this series. We've seen the Zed from Nuke Duck. Obviously, Jizuke's Echo is always a pocket pick. Love seeing the Jarvan top for Cabo Shard, who again, by the way, is right up there with Wonder as the best top laner in the LEC right now. So I'm expecting some spicy picks in this matchup.
And hey, you know, both of these teams also want to play through an aggressive jungler as well. So keep looking out for picks like an Elise, something like Elise Sin, those type of situations will still be popular picks for the jungle spots here.
Fnatic going 2-0 this week. Back to 7-7, back to 500 for the first time this season.
Yeah, I'll say it. Why not? Hey, let's go full-on fanboy. Let's go with the 2-0 Fnatic, keeping the train rolling.
I'm looking for the most hilarious timeline where they take down Schalke and then lose to Rogue in the second half, just to have fans squealing to see them drop that.
Rogue's looking better. Rogue's starting to put together some
2 out of 3, baby.
This could be that could be the sneaky snake there that gets you. Rogue, watch out for it. That Steve Aoki birthday cake's coming for you.
We saw H2K do it to Schalke in the summer split, kind of stealing a win from them, so maybe they play
H2K,
upset
please.
again here
No
in
more.
2019. That's all the time today for League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.